Content is changing. Have you noticed? It's changing really quickly, I reckon. People are exhausted, like just keeping up with all of it now. Like think about even in like the 90s, all the advertisements were all like over the top and silly and like whoa to try and like get your attention. And it was cringe. But that's how ads were. They had to do the thing to get your attention. They had to be a little bit louder and a little bit more, flamboyant and like attention grabby. And we got used to it, but that's just because like products were trying to advertise to you or services were trying to advertise to you, and that's all good. But now all content is like that, and there's not enough raw content like this where you're just chatting and hanging out. And I think it's killing everyone's vibe. It's definitely killing my vibe. I don't know about you. Like, I'd love to know what you think because, yeah, it's just like, it feels like, we're already in like a world where everything is trying to grab your attention. Like I go to the chemist to buy like vitamins, no joke. And they're like, yep, just give me your like mobile phone number to send the receipt to. And I'm like, no, you're not going to have my mobile phone number. I'm literally buying zinc. Okay. And they're like, oh no, but we need it to just send, your receipt to. And I'm like, no, you need it so you can have more of my data so you can market to me more. And like, next time you're at the chemist or anywhere and they ask you for your phone number, tell them no. And watch the cashier just be so confused. But that's just another example of like everything is so over the top trying to get your attention and email and mobile phone number and this and that. And everyone that has access to your data, they're going to use that to steal your time. So the more data everyone else has, the more they're going to send you something, and that takes up RAM in your mind, right? And that ain't good for you. If you haven't noticed, it's definitely not good for me. Definitely not enjoyable for my mental health. And all these things like in the modern world, they just feel like they're grabbing at you and like reaching and pulling from you. And it's horrifying. It does feel like a bit of a capitalist hellscape. But back to the main point, like content is changing a lot. I've definitely on TikTok and definitely on YouTube, there's a sharp turn towards slow content. Because again, like what we actually need as human beings is human connection, right? And we're not getting that, especially in the like whoa age of like attention grabby stuff. And TikTok hasn't helped. And like Instagram was the predecessor to TikTok in terms of attention. It's interesting, like your 2010 to 2015, maybe you're on Facebook and there's memes and stuff, and you look at those memes, but like it doesn't take up so much of your attention and like mind because you're just looking at just looking at an image. And you might share that image or you might like a page, but like it's not like a huge crazy video that's like bang in your face, and it's like you swipe up and it's a totally different content, and then your mind has to make sense of what's going on before it decides whether or not it's relevant or it wants to consume that right now. And on the back burner of that, your mind is also trying to figure out, I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but like there's an element of like, oh, I need to train the algorithm to give me what I actually want or what I think I want. So you're quick to actually swipe things away that you don't want to see to try and teach the algorithm, which is toxic in itself because it's like you're like working while you're just like trying to consume content. And like back in the old days, not that I'm really that old, like back in the old day, you're just watching TV and that was consuming content. And yeah, you'd get ads in there, right? And some of the ads were toxic and over the top. But you wouldn't have to work so hard. Like it was like at the end of the day, you just relax and like watch some TV. But these days, yeah, you go on TikTok and you got to work, like, and that ain't good either. Like I don't know. Like the point what I'm trying to say is like I'm moving more away from like I get more enjoyment from not consuming content than actually consuming content these days, and that's just a flag to me. That's the point. It's just like that's interesting as hell because yeah, it's just like, and I'm sure the younger generations they're in trouble, like because they grew up with this. this is their existence, just consuming content and at like an insanely rapid pace, and the algorithm's figuring them out and has all these data points on them before they even turn 5, whereas I only downloaded TikTok this year, for example. And but yeah, it's just crazy to see, like, a lot of YouTubers, they're taking that slow route, Sam Sulek, like Heinz. There's a lot of people that just like slow it down and they just have a conversation. And I am finding that I connect with that, even if I am not the biggest fan of the like content, like the type of content they're putting out, just because it feels more real. You're just hanging out with someone on a Tuesday night or whatever, watching their videos, and you can really settle in and be like, oh, cool, this is what I'm doing for the next however, even if it's in the background, if you're doing something and that's just in the background, rather than, oh, I'll load up 10 different videos and then go through all of them and then halfway through exit out of one and then go on TikTok while I'm watching it. And, you can't even watch TV anymore. I notice a lot of people, they've got the TV on, but in the background, they're actually scrolling on their phone, looking at Reddit or something else. And if you haven't realized that's not good for your brain, then I don't know, But yeah, what I'm finding is that I'm moving away from that. And, I'll eat breakfast in the morning now with no phone because I just enjoy it so much more. And it's not every day, but like I notice that I feel better when I'm not consuming so much content. It's just that simple. Day and night, you look at your screen time. Why am I enjoying my existence more this week? Oh, right, my screen time's 2 hours less per day this week than last week, because I've filled my time with doing things and achieving things, and they don't have to be crazy. Like, even I mowed my lawn yesterday, only half of it because it grows so quickly because it's summer right now. And you blink and you're like, I mowed my lawn. You blink and it's like, oh, it's back. So I only mowed half of it. All right. Get off my back. Okay. But I still found like a lot of enjoyment in that. And yeah, I had like some cheeky little lo-fi beats in my headphones, but it wasn't like a podcast on like 15 times speed while I'm like running around and mowing and doing gardening and stuff. It was like real max relaxed time, and I enjoyed it. But it's an interesting shift, in the culture, and it will be interesting to see how it goes in the next year. How many creators are going to take advantage of this style of, communicating with an audience, creating content, because I think it's going to make a comeback, not going to have a million graphics on screen and crazy music and effects and this and that. It's just like, just chill out, man. Everyone's overstimulated, We don't need all that. What we need is less content. And whether or not people are realizing that or not, and less stimulation, then, but I think that is what's happening, So at least what's happening with me, it's like, it's burnout is what it is. Everyone's burnt out from the amount and the frequency and intensity of the content that they're consuming. And whether or not people realize it, I think it's happening, and no matter what, the market will get what the market demands, there's obviously a need in the market, and then that market need gets filled, And so I think this kind of content will fill that need. And I think that's crazy interesting because it's going to flip on its head. If it keeps going that way and that trend continues, there will always be the other side, this almost toxic side of intense content. That's always going to exist, and there's always going to be a market for that for sure. But it would be interesting to see just how much this affects culture and how much people take to that and how many content creators then jump on that style. Because I think it's way more healthy to just actually slow it down. It's not natural to like cut out every breath in between each breath and like watch people. But that's what normalized. That's what we're used to now. Just watching people talk when there's no gaps in there talking because they've cut out every single gap between every single word. So yeah, I don't know. I'd love to know what you think and where you feel you're sitting on this. And like, are you burnt out? Like, are you feeling like you want to go more towards slower content? Because that's where I feel, things are going, and that's where what I'm seeing things are going. And, I run a media business, and I'm on the current thing of like, pushing the message out in as short a period of time as possible. I used to have like 2-minute pieces of micro content, we called it. Now it's 1 minute, and now it's 30 seconds. And now I'm like, can you say something of value? I work with agents, right? Can you say something of value in 10, 15 seconds? And then I'll show a couple of cool shots and get out of there, you know? And that's crazy because it's just so quick. You can't really get much quicker than that. So, yeah, maybe our attention spans are just like, nah, I've had enough of this and it's going the other way now. It's interesting. But I'd love to know, are you burnt out? Like, how do you feel about this whole slower content coming in? You know, getting rid of the hectic editing style and bring it back to the grassroots of hanging out and having a chat about something important. Because it's something that I'm attracted to for sure, and I'm going to keep giving it a go. Not only because it's simpler on my life in terms of creating content and keeping a visual diary of my thoughts about, you know, the current landscape and creativity and philosophy and that, but yeah, just witnessing, observing culture, and yeah, let me know what you think.